Welcome, everyone. So, I'm going to go over how I got this right here yesterday. We're with my climbmate George from England, and we did 4 straight easy runs. As you can see, 8 minutes, well underneath the minimum time to get max points. On challenging, we ran right through District Union, 16:57. Now we did try same build. We did try it with a 4-man that were not working as well, and we failed multiple times, and we were approaching the 20-30 minute mark. Try and help other people get through there, and so it can have its problems. Again, these builds, so many times people are neglecting how the builds work with each other. And that's how the devs even talked about it when they were talking about TU10 and the team synergy that was going to be between those. For example, you can see that all we have to do for the rest of the week is shoot people in the head and break some weak points. So with that said, we're going to look at the build and the breakdown and what makes it tick. It's demolitionist, so we're going to give everybody that runs with us 5% out of cover damage. So if you see right here, it is once we get our special ammo, we can one-shot those doors. And one of the underestimated or undervalued skills is when you're doing these speed runs is know where they're spawning at. They're very consistent. For example, in the Air and Space Museum, when you go into the observatorium or the planetarium, you know that you're going to have, with 2 men, you're going to have one sniper come out at the top. So you have somebody snipe that guy in the head, throw your hive at the one door, and then you're going to throw the other guy, throw a stinger hive at the other door, and it will cure all that. So you're going to snipe the guy, they're going to come out the door, they're going to get hit, you grenade them, you do whatever, they're dead. 3 more are going to come out at the upper level again. You're going to snipe them, you throw them, you hit the gas, you set them on fire, you kill them. With a build like this, and what this is going to do with this Eclipse protocol is it's going to rip all through that, and the status effects is going to keep eating through each way. Plus, you're going to hit them with this pestilence that's going to stack. So the Plague of Outcasts, this applies a debuff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. This stacks up to 50 times. And when they die, of course, it can transfer the nearby within 25 meters. Well, in that room, pretty much everything's 25 meters. So when you're hitting them, what you want to do is you want to finish them off with the pestilence, and then that stack will go to the next one, which of course also, if you've done it right, they're bleeding or they're on fire or they're blind, all that stuff's going to go over too. Now, when you really want to get the damage hot and heavy, you can switch to your secondary gun, and when you do this, it's in sync. So you're already doing the skill damage. You've already deployed your skill. So now you're going to be able to increase your weapon damage. So you're going to double it. So you're going to do 30% weapon damage. You're going to do 30% skill damage. So that makes everything propped even quicker. And then you can go back to the pestilence, stack it up for that last few shots right before they die. And then, of course, that stack goes over to the next NPC. So the biomask is going to amplify all that status effect and all the problems that you have on here. Again, could have a better roll, and the biomask is also good for running on a hazard protection because it's automatically in there. You can't wipe it out. It's part of the mask. So we're going to run China Light, and we're running shock and awe because we're throwing those Pokeballs, we're throwing the Stinger Hives, and we want to do as much damage as possible, as quick as possible to kill them off, to keep that moving. Because again, this is set up to run through these time trials quick, easy, and very efficient. And then the other four are Eclipse Protocol. Why do we select the chest and the other ones? Well, we need 4 pieces to get this, our indirect transmission over, which is your status effect now spread to all enemies within 15 meters. But because we're using the chest, now the indirect transmission is now from 15 meters to 20 meters, and refreshes the percentage from 50% to 75%, refreshing that duration. So if they're burning already and it transfers to somebody else, instead of that being half the time that it was on the first guy, it's now going to be 3/4 the time that it originally was on the second guy. And that gives you enough time to finish them off with the Pestilence, do your thing uh, with your ACS 12, and get that in sync to prop, because then it's really doing some crazy damage. And then by that time, it's time to throw out another hive, throw out stingers, and throw out your Pokeballs. I like throwing out the Pokeballs first, stingers second, or have the stinger already setting where I know they're going to come. And again, that's what I originally said with this build. When you're running these speed builds or these speed runs, take note where your NPCs are going to be and where they're going to come out. When you finish off 5 or 6 people, and be consistent. If you run it with a 2-man, do it with a 2-man. If you run 4-man, then do it with 4-man. But be consistent on how you do these runs. Now, we found that if you run 2 status builds similar to this, or throw the Pokeballs and the Stinger Hives, you can just run right through this content, and you can be just like this. 40 points, 10 points on each run in a short amount of time. It probably took us less than 2 hours, probably closer to an hour, to do all 4 of those missions. And we did it the first time and ran right through it. But again, I ran it with other people later on that weren't quite as efficient, a little slower, and we were pushing 20, 30-minute times on that challenging district union, and we wiped 2 or 3 times because the guys were going down. They're, being face tanky. They weren't, they were making those mistakes, and the builds weren't working together. So one of the key things on doing any kind of content is have a good build, and then know how to use that build, know what the build's good at. And just because, even if you're running that Matador Intimidate and you got to be up in this person's face, that doesn't mean you need to be taking damage. You can be within 10 meters and still be undercover. You can still be in that 10 meters and use a shield to protect you, and be able to go into cover when you're taking a little too much damage. Let those skills kill them off. So when you do pop out of cover, you can use the weapons like this one and this one to finish them off real quick, and then get back into cover, get yourself healed, do a fighting retreat if you have to, push when you have to, pick your targets. Because remember, one of the weaknesses here is those drones and those air shots that's going to come in can really do you harm on this build. So you want to take those explosive guys out when you're facing those, and you want to take those drone controllers and the engineers. Those kind of people are high priority when you're running these builds. So last, know your enemy. And if you need to know your enemy a little bit better, I've been making this series. I got the hyenas out The Outcast should be out this week. It's knowing your enemy and kind of know which ones you need to pick on priority. If you haven't played very long, you'll see that there's a certain priority. If you nail that engineer, more likely you'll be okay. Everybody kind of knows you need to take off those rushers when you're fighting Outcast. They're going to blow you up, especially if you're running 4-man on heroic or legendary. Those guys come running into you, and 2 or 3 of you are stacked up in one place. You're all going to wipe. You're going to be dead. They're just overpowered, and that's the way it is. So that's the build, and that's how we got these missions done super quick seasons. I hope that helps you out. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, look me up on Xbox or just leave a message below on the video. And you have a blessed day. This is Bear Essentials. I am Bear Byers.